I had a little bit of leftover margarine that was weeks old to put on my toast that I made now. What should I put on my toast? Should I put some soy sauce? Should I put some vinegar maybe? Should I put some ketchup? I got some honey I can put on. If you, well, I mean, I'm not gonna put curry powder, but what's this? Part of it is first aid stuff. I'm not gonna put that on it. And beside me is a guy that just left. The campground where I am now. I don't know. It's hardly anybody's here, but when somebody shows up, it seems to be right next to me. And maybe that's where kind of they have their power going, or maybe they just, I don't know. One side is a pretty fancy Mercedes van. Oh, they got people that come yesterday and see them. And they went to visit inside before it got too late. But oh, they're so happy to know each other and have the lives they had, and which is a little bit like kids that when they go to a movie theater and they leave all their trash on the ground, and yeah, who cares, right? They had the experience they had. It was all about emotions, adrenaline, consumerism, feeling good about themselves and what they deserve or whatever it is, whether they're earth breakers or not. And I don't know them, but I could tell you, you know, supposedly the water is really good here, and they were wasting a lot before they plugged it in. Just, I don't know. Maybe they just don't know how to ask questions to find out. They don't have to waste that much water before they plug it in. And on the other side is an older van. He just left. He had his cigarette dangling on his mouth when I saw him this morning. And I feel bad because I didn't talk to him. And what if he's a lonely guy who's a good guy? What if he's a good guy who can't find other good people? Like this weekend, I don't know if I'm going to go to a church for the second time because I'm thinking it'll take only 2 times to to feel shunned, right? And they might think, maybe I'm not religious. I'm just not religious. I told somebody that's known me for a while that knows I'm a good person. She actually said, "You're a good man." She said, "Yeah, do you understand what I mean?" Like she said, "You're not a good guy. You're a good man." But yesterday I'm saying, "Oh, I'm sorry. You know me." And all the complexities of my life as I live among the people primates, and I think it was time to start letting go of the friendship because it's going to stress her out. Because when you drive a van with a God bumper sticker on it, it's a nice church. It's a nice building. People were very friendly, and I'd like a sense of community. Like I say, I'm looking for a sense of community. I'm not religious, but it always comes out, right? There's always attempts to kind of infect my brain in this way. So I was telling this friend type person yesterday that if people try, like I have to push back because like I don't want my brain damaged. I said it's not going to be likely. It will be. It's a very resilient brain, but I defined it like that, like a brain damage. And I could give all sorts of examples by talking about Jesus that they love so much. Uh, for example, that many of them would describe Jesus in different ways. So let's say they have an image that this Jesus, walked in not fancy clothes, not fancy shoes, and he was a nice person helping others. But isn't it impossible for him, unless secretly he was using miracles, to never go hungry, or to get his clothes fixed, or to get from A to B, or to not get sick in any way, or whatever it might be, at a time where a lot of people got sick. So that means he had that advantage. So it's hard to admire somebody that had that advantage. But let's say he didn't have that advantage. Let's say if he did miracles, it was only to help others, but not to help himself. That means he would have to sometimes ask for help, right? Well, they can't visualize a Jesus like that. They either visualize a Jesus who's a fake because, he has the power to solve all his all problems, or, but they can't visualize one that would be like me that wants to help and does more helping of others, but that also occasionally asks for help. And if Jesus was like that, like a real man among people, then Yeah, none of them have that image, but whatever image they have, it's not the same. So I'd say, well, it's confusing. You want me to find Jesus, but there's like, oh, and they might say, yeah, Jesus is infinite, the image, or whatever it is. I haven't had anybody say this before, but it probably, when I engage in a conversation that flows in this way, probably somebody would. Then I'd say, well, aren't you just making up a character to make me feel good? Because some of the ways that he's infinite are incompatible. They're incongruent. They're like they can't be the same Jesus at the same time. Like because it's like if I could describe a situation, you'd say he'd act like this, like this, like this. That one situation. Oh, and then people would say, well, look inside of you. You'll find. Well, if I look inside, I'm telling you, we're going to have arguments because the way I would see Jesus is very different than yours. So they don't get that creating a fictional character and having your entire life revolve around it is unhealthy. And in that time, nobody participates in real communities anymore, which is why I show up to church. Not to learn about your version of Jesus, your version of Jesus, your version of Jesus. And I don't want my own version of Jesus. I want to talk about the here and now, and I want to help teach you the skill sets to partake in community and teach it to your kids, right? Because it's going to get worse. They're going to be very confused about how to respond to the worsening times happening right now and getting worse very, very quickly. So if you disconnect somebody from reality in this way with religions or just dysfunctional brains that could be different religions or no religions or whatever it is, it's a dysfunctional brain, right? It's a brain unable to problem solve and unable to understand that collaborations, win-win scenarios are a crucial. Remember, it's not just your lives that are becoming more chaotic with your decisions over the centuries and millennia. It's all of your people primates attempt at proto societies around the planet. So of course, win-win scenarios, collaborations, cooperations are the skill sets. But no, it's still every man, woman, and child for themselves, even not just in the same towns or provinces or states or countries, but in the same neighborhoods, in the same households. And people think it's funny when they say this to a young person. Well, you gotta learn to mend for yourself, or whatever it is. It's the opposite of what you need to teach them. And yet, I am not welcome in churches. Now, this could be exactly what Jesus would say if he came back. And he would probably not wear a fancy suit and drive a Porsche. And if his Porsche breaks down and he's far away from a mechanic that can do it, is there going to be asking for help, or is there going to be a miracle to bring this Porsche there? Whatever it is, following this type of nonsense is hazardous to your brain. How do I know this? Well, I've studied psychology, mental health, counseling, addictions, and I'm telling you, your brains do not function very well. And you know, I don't know, should we blame one of the versions of infinite Jesus that has made your brains like this?